This is an urgent news bulletin brought to you by your local Waste Pickers Union. Since the last episode, we've got t-shirts, truckers' hats, and beer koozies. We got YouTube, Patreon, and even a Discord. So head on over to GuildedTrash.com and find all the links and merchandise. I'm Scott.
And I'm Alana D. And let's dive on into the dumpster of comedy.
Whoa. Stop the presses before we get started on anything. We got a few things to revisit from the last episode. First off, on the last Kill Tony episode that we watched, Red Band was wearing a Rax roast beef t-shirt.
It was kind of sexy.
I want it.
Yeah.
I want a Rax. Are you kidding me?
Yes.
A Rax roast beef t-shirt after we just talked about it. Never heard about it in my life. And then, boom, there it is right in my face.
You know, I like to refer to those as synchronicities, babe. It's just the universe telling us that we're talking about the right things, we're saying the right things, we're doing the right things. Also from last episode, a little bit of good news you found on social media today was that Noah West and Presley Tennant are definitely releasing the song If It Was Easy.
Great song.
Yes, amazing song. We talked about it in the first episode, and it's releasing on 8:30, I think.
8:30 or 8:31. Go check it out. I mean,
check it out.
Take it from them, not from us.
Right.
We're just the message relayers.
Don't kill the messenger.
Right. We're going to talk about going to all the different places that we've done open mics, all the different scenes that we visited in terms of like different cities. You know what I mean? Cool people that we've met along the way, because we've met some really, really cool people.
Yeah, yes.
And also we're going to make our argument for why we think Joe Rogan should open up Mothership East in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
I've come to that conclusion. First of all, I grew up close to Pittsburgh, so I'm already a Pittsburgh girl, right? I love Pittsburgh. But it's going through a transformation right now, and I just think that it's ripe for the pickings. What's the feature topic for this week's episode?
Well, we're going to talk about, as we know, maybe not everybody else, but I started doing comedy back in March, open mic comedy. And we're just going to talk a little bit about some of the things we've come across, some of the people we've met, you know, some of the things that we've encountered, all that good stuff. So,
all right. I mean, I do have an agenda here.
But yeah, no, it started, really, the comedy journey started back in March. We went up to Harrisburg, to the Comedy Zone, which is a comedy club. It's awesome, actually, isn't it?
It is pretty awesome.
It's the nicest thing that so outside of like shows that we've got, comedy shows that we've gone to that were like at places.
Right. Like that was an actual comedy club though.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. But it is and it isn't. It's not
kind of felt like, right.
It's not the Improv.
It's not the Improv, but it had an Improv like feel.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool place. It's like a mid-tier. It's like, it's not an open mic what's happening right now?
I think that was the computer shutting down.
It makes a noise like that.
It does now because I fucking turned something on that I wasn't supposed to and jacked something up, and I'm going to have to factory reset the whole thing already. But it gave me a feel of stand-up New York.
I would count stand-up New York as like a little bit better because that feels like...
Because it was in New York.
Well, and it also felt like when you think a comedy club, like stand-up New York is like the stereotype of like it's like down in this little room. There's like, it's brick. Right. You know what I mean? It's small. It's very intimate. It's in New York.
Right. But like thinking about the murals that were all over the wall at the Harrisburg Comedy Zone, like it just had a very comic feel to it.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great place.
Yeah.
100%.
And it's big.
And it's in a hotel. So that's what really makes it awesome. It's in a hotel with a bar restaurant, with a comedy club, with like a game room. It was like a sort of a different version of like JD Legends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, not quite as much activity, but like still with having a game room, having a bar, having a comedy club.
So I was trying to research earlier what the name of the hotel was that it was attached to. And it could be one of two. it's like the Magnuson Harrisburg Hotel or the Budget Inn, because they all have the same address, which is
right.
101 Lime Kiln. So like,
probably, I think it was the Budget Inn, to be honest with you.
Right. But if you look on the side of the marquee there where it says, what's the name of the restaurant again?
Boomerang.
Oh, their food was good.
Their wings were good, yeah.
And it's really nice inside. It's like a really nice sports bar.
It's huge.
And it has the patio out back.
It's huge.
Or the tiki bar or whatever that thing
Yeah,
is.
it's got like a little tiki bar outside thing going.
Yeah, checked a lot of boxes.
But what I was saying as far as it being like a mid-tier, it's like, it's not your, that's when the computer beat.
Right.
It's not an open mic bar or like brewery that you're at doing comedy. And it's not like a nice club where you're going to get like a headliner, like a national headliner. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to get Dusty Slay there. You're not going to, I'm just saying, but you'll get him at like the Improv.
Right.
Or something like a club like that, or Magoobies. Like Dan Soder is not going to Harrisburg Comedy Zone, but he's going to Magoobies.
Right.
But
I agree.
It also does get so-called national acts. You know what I mean? Like touring comedians that aren't your like name brand.
So Aaron Weber would play at the Harrisburg Comedy Zone?
Aaron Weber has played at the Harrisburg Comedy Zone.
Okay. That gives me an idea of tiers.
It's probably a little above Bates.
Don't be mean to Batesy.
It's probably a little above Bates.
Oh, my Lanta. But like before, okay, so March of this year, 2024, was your very, very first open mic ever. Mm-hmm. However, like before that.
Yeah, I mean, I always wanted to get into comedy, but I, just never did. I used to think about it all the time. I mean, obviously, this, that I've been like, I'm a comedy nerd. Like some people like sport. I mean, I like sports too, but like I love comedy. Like, and like when I was a kid, I'd run around and I mean, I doubt anybody remembers this. There might be somebody though. But, that I would walk around with like sheets of notebook paper with just words written on them of bits and it would be like a bit. It would say like, Jerry Garcia. And I knew a bit by Nick DiPaolo that he talks about Jerry Garcia. And like so it would just say one word or phrase or whatever. And I would have all these bits memorized. And then of course, like I would do Jerky Boys nonstop, like for everyone that would ever listen. And my friends and I would make our own Jerky Boys tapes.
I literally got to hear the first week we were dating. I think I heard every Jerky Boys through your impersonation of them.
Right.
I had heard them before, but not the way you.
But yeah, but I'm saying, so like I've always like I'm saying that's how I really got started doing voices though. Like that I do, how I do a million voices. So like I always was like kind of geared towards that, but like well, first off, I didn't know you could even like really do that. I didn't know you could just be a comedian.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. When we were younger, it felt out of reach. Like it didn't feel like what somebody grows up to do or whatever.
Right. You just didn't really think about it because it was like, how would you even go about that? Like as a kid, you like, because when you live like in the country, it's not like there's a comedy scene or anywhere even nearby.
Right.
Even now we drive an hour and a half to get to a scene.
Right.
At a minimum, really.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's,
and the closest place you would have been able to go pre-Comedy Zone days would have been Baltimore.
Right, or DC.
Yeah.
I mean, even still, even from there, like you're talking, I mean, you're going to have to drive to the city.
Right. There was always the alternative, though, for you, which you also didn't pursue. Well, you kind of pursued, but didn't.
What?
Your dad said that you could always be a megachurch leader.
Well, I mean, I think that goes into being a comedian because you're just full of shit.
But you are ordained, so
I am ordained. Yeah.
The comedy preacher, the preacher comedian.
Not really. I think that one guy out there, he's like a legitimate preacher.
He's a legitimate preacher.
I'm not legitimate. Yes. That's my thing.
No.
I'm illegitimate. I do weddings for people that are not looking to stay together. That it's
matter of fact, he's 0 for 3 right now. 0 for 3.
But if you need somebody in a pinch and no professional person would touch it, that's where I specialize. That's where I specialize.
What did that one kid say? I can't believe I met a pastor that smokes weed or something.
No, so we were hitting the vape pen. It was called what was it? The Devil's something. It wasn't the Devil's Lettuce, but it was called the Devil's Sunrise or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, so I was like, it's called the Devil's Sunrise. He's like, you mean to tell me that I smoke a weed called the Devil's Sunrise with my pastor? And I was like, first off, nobody's ever said the word pastor. That's a different connotation. I'm here as a legal officiant.
An ordained something or other.
Something.
Internet ordained.
Yeah, internet ordained.
But anyways, so then like we were just like, so I don't even know how it just kind of overnight, I was like, we're doing a podcast and you're going to start doing open mics. That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to put like our time and money into. So here we are. That was in March. We're now in mid-August already, coming up on football season. And you've got a little bit of practice in already.
Some, some, not as much as I probably like, but but we've gotten to do it all over, which has really been fun.
Yeah.
We've done it at lots of different places, locations, not just, lots of different towns, I should say.
Right.
As opposed to, and we found out that there's one in Altoona. I'm going to do.
That sounds really
Which
cool.
is like really sort of outside the box, because it's like, you don't really get open mics in places of, that size.
Right.
Yeah. You might get a comedy show at a bar or something like that. You know what I mean? Kind of like here, where they might bring in a couple of people. Right. But like, it's never a comedy open mic.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so that'll be cool.
Or if it is,
to check that out.
Yeah. Or if it is, it's like not for an area like this. I haven't seen one that was like really well promoted or put together yet. So.
I haven't seen one open mic for comedy. For music.
No, for comedy. There was one.
Where?
That you didn't go to.
That was not for comedy. They were doing that for music, and you asked them if I could do comedy.
Anyways, I'm not going to argue that. But I think one of the very first things that we did when we very first started dating was we went to see The Gaff.
Oh yeah, we've seen a ton of comedians.
Yeah, we've seen a ton of comedians.
Yeah, we've seen a bunch that were all really, really, really good.
There's still a lot that we haven't seen.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. I can go to a comedy show once a week and probably not get through all the people that I wanted to see.
Right. Absolutely. So and now that we're doing this whole journey with all of this, I feel like I've become some kind of crazy, stage mom where every place we go, I'm trying to wiggle you into an open mic. And you're like, oh, I'm not doing that here. I'm not doing that.
She's had me do it at a party, like just somebody's redneck party in an orchard. She's got me out there doing comedy for people. That ambush style of comedy is not fun.
No, it's not. But that guy laughed. No, at the bar that day. Oh. I can't help it.
That's one thing that I learned immediately. Yeah.
Don't tell people you do comedy.
Don't ever do that, because the immediate people are like, hey, tell me a joke.
Mm-hmm.
You feel like Rocco and Boondock Saints.
Right.
Make me laugh funny.
Right.
It's like.
It's so weird.
It's weird because it's like one of those things, like people, as if you're just like loaded with like knock jokes.
I mean, if it was like, what's his name back in the day, the one-liner guy, Rodney Dangerfield, like if it was something like that.
Even so.
But it's still a pain in the ass. Like
you don't walk up to a musician and say, play me a song. You know, like,
no, you don't. But to be fair, like it's happened to me as well because I grew up in this area singing. So like if I would go anywhere where there was a band, people would think they could go up to the band and say they wanted Atlanta to sing.
Right.
And it's like not fair to the band, right? It's not fair to their fans who might not want to hear me sing.
Right.
And I have friends that do that too. It's awkward.
Yeah, it's the most annoying thing ever.
Plus, we're both like really introverts.
So if you learn anything, if you learn anything from this episode, nothing else, take this home. If you find out that somebody does comedy in a conversation, do not be like, well, tell me a joke.
No, don't do that.
Do not do that. It's terrible. It's
awkward.
It's awkward. It's not going to be funny.
No.
It's not going to be funny. Jokes aren't meant to be. Like I said, they're not knock jokes.
Right. Like that's what you really just need to do is have a little list of knock jokes for people like that.
That to me is even more annoying than just being like, no.
No, I hear you. All right. So your first open mic ever was in Harrisburg and I thought you did amazing, but I'm like a diehard fan. So then again, that's what I was talking about with Stage Mom, because then I had this bright idea that we were going to go see Shane Gillis in Nashville and that Scott was going to do some open mics in Nashville. So we went down there and the timing was a little bit off, but
I have one word.
Joyland.
Whew. That chicken sandwich, son. Oh my dear Lord. That was... If you learn nothing else from this podcast, if you're in Nashville, go to Joyland in East Nashville.
What was mine? The smash burger?
They don't even they only have two things: chicken sandwiches and burgers.
But it's a smash burger, right?
Yeah, they're smash burgers. But
hand patted right there.
Yeah, I mean,
they kill the cow on site.
They kill the cow right out back. They're the only cows in Nashville. No, it's top notch. It's like just those two things, but they do them really, 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 really
yeah,
well.
Joyland was amazing. We had a lot of good food there. We had a lot of fun. Shane Gillis obviously was amazing, but
we did that because there was an open mic that we were going to at a place called Hubba Hubba Tiki.
Oh, that's right. That was that same night.
So we were killing time.
Yes,
in East Nashville.
Hubba Tiki.
Yo, I need to go back there. I want to go back for open mic. First off, it was awesome.
First of all, the kitchen there is fucking off the chains. Like the bathroom kitchen, baby. It's like I
was like, kitchen? I was like, they didn't have...
But like, remember the bathrooms?
Oh, yeah. It's very... It might not be everybody's vibe. You know what I mean? Like,
it's as if the 80s threw up all over the place. And then...
Right.
And then... add in some like tiki stuff.
If you're cool, you'll like it.
Right. Like the people there are just like...
And it was very eclectic in terms of the mix of people that came in to do comedy.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like one group of people or like, you know what I mean? Like,
it wasn't one type of comedy. It was a little...
It wasn't a bunch of 30-year-old white guys.
Right.
There was some, but like, you know, you got like... No offense, but like Comedy Zone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even a lot of the open mics that we do in Pittsburgh and stuff, it's mostly
30-year-old white guys.
25 to 40-year-old white guys.
Yeah.
That's comedy's bread and butter. But like it was just an eclectic mix of people.
It was. It felt very artsy.
Not that there's no diversity in Pittsburgh scene. I want to throw that out.
No. There absolutely is. There absolutely is.
And there's
and even at the Comedy Zone there was. But
yeah.
This place just felt different. It felt a little artsier. It felt, I don't know. It just felt...
You felt like anybody could walk in there.
Right.
Anybody did walk in there.
Oh, that's right. But before we go there, I do want to give a shout out to Brandy Legs on Instagram. It's Brandy Legs, Legs. on Instagram.
Or Misguided Spirits.
Yeah, it's misguided-spirits.com. Spirits made for the people that pour them.
By the people that pour them.
By the people that pour them.
You know what I mean? Like it's that.
Right. That it's unsafe. But that part's
unsafe.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Made by the people that pour them.
But anyways, so I was stalking her Instagram earlier and I found out that Shabuzi follows her, which is effing huge. But she's just a little gal in Nashville slinging spirits, but I love her.
Yeah, and good times. But that's what the thing was, is like, we walked into that place and they made us, you would have thought that we lived next door.
Right.
By the way that they treated us. They let us try this liquor. There was nobody else really there. So they were just like bullshitting with us about their lives as if we'd known them and were their friends forever.
We were just part of the conversation.
Yep.
They were having their conversation and we were included.
It was very cool. And the host there was of the open mic.
Yeah.
He was very cool.
Very cool. Very, very cool.
He was very cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was a great mic and a great time.
One other thing I wanted to say about Misguided Spirits, though, is even if you don't drink, their merch is hella cool. They have a lot of tarot themed merch, like shirts, coasters, playing cards, shit like that. But they also have a collab with tattoo artist Matt Adamson. He has a tattoo shop in Brooklyn, New York, and it's called Old Bones Society. And so that merch is slightly different. It's more flash art and stuff like that, but it's really, really cool. Really cool. So, but any hoozle, back to who just randomly popped up at the open mic in Hubba Hubba.
Right. So we were just there. We were watching. I went first.
Yeah.
It was so weird because it's like, I mean, first is actually not that I'm saying it's coveted or anything like that. Obviously, but you don't want to be, but like early is better usually.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because like if you're wanting outside people there, they're there, whatever. Or I guess that's really what it depends on is when is there going to be people there that aren't just comedians?
Right. Exactly.
But regardless of any of that, what was I saying about that?
You went first.
Oh yeah, I went first. So the first time that I did comedy, I was just like in the middle of the pack. And every time after that, but my second and third time doing comedy, I was first both of those times. So it was like, I was a lot to deal with because I was like, whoa, Jesus. But regardless of any of that, so we're sitting there, we're watching comedy. And this guy's up there and I'm like, man, he looks really familiar. We're in Nashville. I don't know this guy. But he looks really familiar. I'm just thinking that in my mind, that he looks familiar. He stands out to me for some reason. And he gets up there to do, I had noticed him prior to that. You know,
right.
He's like talking to everybody. People knew who he was. Like,
right.
He'd obviously been there before. And he gets up there and he's doing and he did a joke about, this was at the time that the whole Nickelodeon documentary had come out. And he said that he was a child star and that he worked for Disney. And that's when I put it together because Disney, ABC, he was on a show called Step by Step, which was on TGIF. And he was one of the kids on the show, JT. He was JT's friend. And Rich, I think his name was, on the show. I don't remember. It doesn't matter.
Maybe.
Regardless, it doesn't.
Rich or Doug?
No, I think it was Rich. It doesn't matter. Regardless of any of that. So this is all we know about him at the time.
No, right. This is all we know. However, I still wasn't putting anything together because I'd never seen that show.
Right.
I didn't care about that kind of stuff.
Right. And we had heard, Brandy actually talked about how he was Max, the voice of Max at a Goofy movie.
Right.
So by the end of the night that we were leaving the bar,
right,
we knew those two things, that he was on the show Step by Step and that he was Max in a Goofy movie. Right.
That's all we knew.
That's all we knew.
And just real quickly, though, because this plays into what you're about to say, when I came out of the bathroom, you were having a conversation with him and he shook my hand and said, "Oh, I heard you're the one that doesn't like Step by Step." And so,
well, yeah, I before the end of the night,
it was a joke.
Before the end of the night, I just introduced myself and said that, I asked him if he was the guy that I thought that he was, and he said, yeah, he was. And that was that, really.
Right.
You came out, had that. He said, he was like, oh, you guys are from Pennsylvania. He remembered because I had a joke about the roads.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, whatever, have a good night. Nice to meet you, yada, yada. So we thought that was cool. You know what I mean? Just to have, just that alone was cool. I was thinking that, this is awesome. I was a guy I like watching on TV when I was growing up. And then we'll read his wiki page.
First of all, Jason Marsden. And he said his name was Mars at the show.
Right. That's how he was like introducing himself.
And that's how he goes. He goes by Mars on Instagram. Follow him because he's got a lot of crazy shit going on. And I'm going to tell you about it here in a minute. But anyways, so we get to his wiki page.
And he was the voice of the cat in Hocus Pocus.
Thackeray Binks. He was Thackeray Binks in Hocus Pocus. I am a middle-aged woman who clearly, just by looking at me, loves everything Halloween. Mars, if you're watching this, you could have led with the fucking fact that you were in Hocus Pocus because I would have known what that was. I would have known. But anyway, so he started in 87 on like Webster. He did an episode of Webster, and that was like the first thing that I could find. And then like he's done, like you said, he was Max in the Goofy movie, Step by Step, but he's still working. Brandy said that he's friends with a bunch of the kids that were in the movie Hook. I think
that he is. I think I saw like some pictures because he does a lot of like cons.
He does a lot of cons.
Was he even in that movie? Maybe
no, he wasn't. I looked it up. I did look it up. But if you're looking for something to do and you're in Salem, Mass on October 11th, they're having a really cool costume party / event. Mars is going to be there. The girl that played Allison, the girlfriend, the two little thug guys are all grown up. They're going to be there. Omri Katz is going to be there. So like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like
that sounds cool.
The witches won't be there, but everybody else, who is,
I don't want to see that. I could care less about Bette Midler. Well, Kathy, how do you say her name?
Naomi.
Yeah. I like her, but the other two, I can do without him.
Well, regardless, October 11th in Salem, Massachusetts.
Not that I don't like him in the movie. Okay, move on from that.
But yeah, so he's still working and he's still working really hard. And his girlfriend on Insta is hella cute. She does all the cons with him. Remy D, follow her too. So what else are we talking about?
I don't know. What else are we talking about?
So there's a whole Pittsburgh scene.
That's what we've been doing a lot of.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I mean, I like it out there. It's definitely cool. We're going to go to Austin here soon.
Not only are we going to Austin, people, but I've already hooked up with a real estate agent as a plan B.
But, no, I mean, I like the Pittsburgh scene. Like I said, it's like, we've learned a lot, you know what I mean, by going out there.
Yeah.
A lot. When you go, because like we watch the show while we're there. We don't just typically, I mean, a lot of comics, we're coming at this from a little bit different place. Most comics start this much younger.
Right.
You know what I mean, than I have. So like I'm not going to go around. I'm not trying to hit 19 different places.
Right.
I mean, I'll do 2 or 3.
Right.
But like, I try to watch other people because not only that, but I like to watch other comedians, bad and good.
Right.
To see what's going on. However,
I'm fucking over it, dudes. I'm so over it.
We have made the mistake. And this last time, I don't know why you wanted to do that, but,
I do like to engage. Again, I feel like a stage mother. I want to show my support to the other comics. I want them to have a face that's not one of the other comics. And I'm the only one that routinely shows up with him that is not one of the other comics. So yeah.
We get stuck and the problem with a lot of these is if with the exception, the scene in Pittsburgh, you might be there on a great night. The same then you can be great and bad week to week. You
back
don't
to back,
know.
right?
You don't know. It might be filled with people. It might be nobody there.
Right.
And we've made the mistake several times of like going into like the bar, and we'll typically like order something to eat.
Right, because again, we're
drinks.
Driving.
Right,
like,
right. This is our whole night. We're
right.
out there for the time that we get off work till
right.
We get home, and we've sat. Do not sit up front. Do not be in a place where they can engage you, because when there's nobody there, they're going to engage with the only people there that are engaging.
Yes,
and that's the problem. So then you end up in this spot where you're just like, you gotta be like on your A game.
I mean, to be fair, I'm very comfortable responding, right? Because I did used to be a DJ. So it's not awkward for me to respond. And I will say some off the wall shit on purpose just to see if they're on their game sometimes. But it's no longer fun. I feel like I'm in the spotlight when I'm there, and I don't want to be in the spotlight.
Right.
Anymore.
I just want to relax and watch comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you don't ever have to worry about that at like a professional show. Right. I mean, you do if you're sitting up front.
Right, but I want to be up front when not maybe Matt Rife, but
no.
When Soder's worked in the crowd, right? We were up front.
Although Ari is a staunch defender of Matt Rife.
Ari.
Or Tony Hinchcliffe is a staunch defender of
I'm not anti-Matt Rife.
No, I mean, I was prior up to that, but like he put his work in, he's doing what he's doing.
Right, like he's working.
He's making way more money than me.
Exactly.
People get whatever, dude. Do you? If you can crowd work your way to $10 million fucking dollars, crowd work your way to $10 million is what I say.
Yeah.
If you can do it, do it.
I just it's just not for me.
Yeah, it's just not for me either. I don't really enjoy it.
But remember, we went and saw Soder that one time, and we were close. We've been actually, it's crazy how close we've been to most. Like, we were close to Shane Gillis. We were up front. Yeah. We were Soder. We were up front. Dusty Slay. We were up front. Yep. Nate. Every time we see Nate, it's been not an arena, but like a bigger venue. But we had really good seats at State College though. For Nate. We did have good seats. We were probably only like 8 rows back or something. Yeah. That was really good. But no, remember, so that's kind of when you're talking about like interacting with the comic or whatever. So one thing that cringes me out is hecklers. And I know that that's something that you guys have to learn to get used to. I'm a mouthy son of a bitch. Like, I have to learn to just pull back and be like, it's not my circus. Because it's just, that's the problem with it is every situation that I've gotten into like that, it's unique in itself because you're dealing with different people. So it's like what may work to get out of it one time won't work on somebody else or vice versa. Right. Because it's like, if it's just like, if it's one person like being like overly answery, right, you almost have to just get to the point and just be like, shut up, dude. Right. Which is where most people get to, is they're like, dude, shut up. You know what I mean? Like, so, because it's just, there's no other way to deal with that. Now, if it's just people talking, you know what I mean? That can sort of be corralled. Like, you just, you know what I mean? You can just sort of get out of that because you can like, pull them out of it if it's the right, you know what I mean? Like, let them finish. I'm sorry, am I interrupting you? Right. You know what I mean? Like, exactly. You just like... Yeah, there's a lot of good ways to get out of it. But I think why it's cringy for me is because the couple times that I've seen it handled over the past couple months, it's been somebody screaming at the person, like screaming, like, shut the fuck up, which I do that sometimes to you for no reason. Like, you're just like... Talking. You could always pull Michael Richards. Or not. Okay, let's not get canceled before we get up and running. I'm not going to do it. Well, how do professional comedians handle heckling? I mean, we saw Dan Soder. Right. Where were we? That was Magoobies. Magoobies. That's a freaking awesome venue. I love Baltimore to begin with, but
Yeah.
As much as I love Pittsburgh.
So, yeah, when we saw Dan Soder, he literally basically just said, shut the fuck up. There was people talking.
And they were talking a lot. And they were talking to each other, having a full-blown conversation.
Yeah.
A full-blown conversation. And
enough to disrupt the show. And we also should say this was right after COVID. So it wasn't even a full room.
Right, exactly. And it's like, why the fuck would you pay the price to sit front row to see an awesome comedian and then sit there and bullshit with your friend?
A show that you've waited 2 years to see. Because remember, this was originally booked like 2020. We were supposed to go see him. They shut everything down. They didn't even start doing shows again. This is like the end of 2021, maybe even the beginning of 22. I don't remember.
Right.
But so you paid money, waited 2 years to go to a show, only to decide right when he's getting started to have a
full-blown conversation from the front row, right? And so, so Dan Soder handled it, but I felt his energy get a little angry the rest of the show. So I don't feel like it didn't hurt my experience is what I want to say.
Agreed.
It did not hurt my experience. I still appreciated everything he did after that. Like he's hilarious. I love Dan Soder. But didn't he say something at the end of the show then? Like,
I don't think he said anything at the end of the show, but I think he might have referenced it later on.
Yeah.
Like in a joke or something, we've heard comedians do that before.
Yes.
Where they'll reference back to the matter of fact, Shane Gillis. He wasn't the one that did it. It was McCann.
James McCann.
James Donald Forbes McCann, Catamaran Plan. Shout out to his podcast. That's the name. It's pretty cool. He's a funny guy.
He is fucking hilarious. I don't know. I had never heard of him before the Shane Gillis show.
I can't believe we totally forgot about that incident. No, that was better than the Soder. The Soder incident was mild. That was just people talking repeatedly after being asked to be quiet. This lady, she was drunk.
Yeah.
And she was shouting, like, bring out Shane Gillis.
Oh, God. It was embarrassing. Good.
And every comedian, after that happened,
called it back.
Even Shane Gillis called it back.
Yeah. Yeah. But, props to the security guard because she fucking handled it. And everybody clapped when the lady left, and that was that.
In a full, uproarious cheer.
Yes.
Well, especially too because he called her a cunt.
He did call her a cunt, which is one of my favorite words.
He did. He's from Australia.
Yeah.
He's like, get out of here, you cunt. Like kind of thing.
It was fucking fantastic.
It was great.
In the Ryman Auditorium, he said cunt. That's the best part.
That makes it even better. The Mother Church of Country Music.
As the stained glass windows were beaming light down on him. Yeah. The word cunt just drops. I love it. No, but back to Soder for a second. So, true story, and I waffled on which way to say it, but ultimately at the end of the day, he tweeted about it after the show. And I commented that she was still running her mouth in the bathroom after the show, which was true. So I go in to pee after the show. She's in there. She's in the stall next to me. I hear her talking to herself. And when we both walk out to wash our hands, she's bitching first world problems because they didn't have the handlebars on the side of the toilet at a height where she could squat properly wearing heels. So you can imagine why they were having a fighter conversation in the front row. But this entitled hussy. So I commented back on the tweet that Soder had tweeted and said that she was still running her mouth in the bathroom after the show. And it got me my very, very first celebrity like on a comment, which was, my heart is just steaming right now. And it also caused my addiction to getting attention from celebrities. So now my whole goal is to TikTok, tweet, or Facebook something that will make you like my comment. But anyways, what I'm getting at there is that if you're at an open mic and you don't know it's going to be an open mic and you just came in to have food and there's somebody standing right behind you telling fucking jokes and you're like talking to your person because you want to eat your food, like, no, comic, you shut the fuck up. Like,
no, I totally disagree. Those restaurant people have made the decision to have an open mic there. Do you know what I mean?
Well, then that's on the bartender to be like, hey, why don't you guys sit down here so you're not right underneath the hot breath of the guy?
Also at that place, though, they have the same open mic there for years. And those people should have shut the fuck up.
No, I don't disagree in that case. Those people were being fucking totally annoying. Totally annoying. So I don't disagree, but I'm just like, if we were in a comedy
that dude did
club,
scream at him.
like, Jesus Christ.
It was a lot. Dude. It was a lot.
It was extra.
It was definitely a lot. It was definitely a lot. But that was cool.
Anyhoozle. So, that actually brings us to my campaign, which I am staunchly I'm going to launch an internet barrage against Joe Rogan until he takes me up on this offer.
He needs to open a Mothership East in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And here's why. Because there's the big four of comedy: New York, LA, Chicago, and now most recently, Austin has emerged as damn near maybe a contender to take. I mean, if you ask Tony, it's the best in the country. It's better than New York. It's better than LA.
It's where all it's like Hollywood in the late 60s, early 70s were to starlets. That's what Austin is to comedy right now.
It's just all the young comics want to go there because there's opportunity.
Yes.
That's the name of the game in comedy, is opportunity to do comedy. And when you offer the most opportunity, that's where people want to go. But that brings us to Pittsburgh.
Right. Pittsburgh, which so I am a planner. I am a designer. Logistically speaking, I could design the whole infrastructure for you. I already have the business plan because we've got communities that are lovely and have houses that are in the low 30s and $40,000 that might need some attention. We've got a workforce that's already used to a college town ruckus. We've got bars out the wazoo in every little corner of the city that are ripe for hanging out.
It's already doing its own thing with a resurgence, with healthcare, with technology. So you already have a city that's transforming itself.
Yes.
You already have a great comedy scene that's already in place. I've told you this, out of every place that we've really been a part of, Pittsburgh offers the best comedy scene in terms of that size of a city.
Right.
Without being, like I said, I want to make it one of the big five. The big four are behemoths, and every other city is on a different tier, and it's equal with those. But Pittsburgh is at the top of that next tier.
And there's room. Austin's already starting to overflow. And there's a lot of kids over here on the East Coast who just cannot make their way. They're like getting over to Austin and they're struggling, right? Because they're living out of their cars. We see it every week.
Yeah.
At least one of the hat pulls a week is fucking either living out of their car or just shacked up with somebody that they met.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, part of that's
part of the fun and the experience.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah, for sure. But what we're getting at is that the infrastructure is already in place.
Already in place.
If you open up a Mothership East, you've already got a booming comedy scene in terms of there's a ton of good comics there.
There's a ton. And you're so close to Morgantown. You're so close to the freaking Turnpike. Jersey people can come in. People from, West Virginia, Tennessee can all get there easily enough.
Right. That's the thing is, so you would have people. So the scenes that are all right now basically at the same level, like Cleveland, Buffalo, you know what I mean? You're going to have people that are in those comedy scenes moving to Pittsburgh
to up their game. Right.
But that's what has to happen though. But the Mothership East, Joe Rogan, get it done.
Get it done. Get it done, y'all.
No, but I'm gonna start everywhere.
What's his name? Will Ferrell say, "Let's get her done, y'all," or however he says
Well, no,
that.
but that's what I'm saying though. It needs to be like one of those, like, it needs to just catch fire, and to the point that every time somebody is talking to Joe Rogan, they're like, they mention it.
Right. Like, what about that mothership?
I've been hearing rumblings about, just make it that, just start rumblings that it's happening.
Somebody please start a rumor that Joe Rogan is opening up.
Everybody start a rumor. Tell your friends. Tell everybody you know that you heard this through the grapevine, and eventually it'll manifest itself true. Because he'll be so bothered by it. And he'll be like, what? I keep hearing this. And then eventually he'll be thinking,
it'll just make so much sense to him that he'll have to come over and do it.
Mothership East, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania. Why did I just say that?
I'm making that a hashtag. And so, okay, so we've talked about hecklers in Pittsburgh. Well, we've talked about a lot in general. There's more to talk about in Pittsburgh that we want to get into. So we're going to go there first, but let's talk about your favorite topic.
Food. Some good food. Like, you find cool bars. You find cool, great places to eat. Look how many great places to eat we found. How many great bars we found.
So
that I would go to outside of comedy.
Like, I never partied in Pittsburgh when I was younger. I was on the South Side once or twice, and I've been to concerts or whatever. I've been to things in Pittsburgh, but not like somebody, like my cousins live on the South Side, or did at some point. I don't know if they still do. They're grown. But there's a lot of really cool fucking hiding spots in all the bars. Like, all the bars there have like a secret back room or two different venues in the same space, or an upstairs lounge that is only where it's all really effing cool. Like, I love it. I love it.
And like I said, back to the food thing. I mean, we have eaten some good food, not just at like places we've gone to either, but like they might be next door.
Oh yeah. What's that place called next door to,
Roland's
Seafood. Oh my
that was really good. That lobster quesadilla, boy. Let me tell you what, they were losing money on this thing.
Because there was so much lobster
in that thing.
And it was real. Like, I'm a seafood connoisseur. Like, I might sound podunk when it comes to city bars, maybe, or I might sound podunk when it comes to going to big concerts in the city. But when it comes to seafood, I fucking know seafood. Let me just tell you. So it was, oh my God, it was so good. So good.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, and not only that, but like the people, I will say this about the Pittsburgh comedy scene, it's been very, very welcoming. Yeah,
like, I mean, like, everybody has been so nice to you.
Yeah, well, like, they just act like, the thing that I like is there's no, this is the wrong word, but there's like no to do about it. They just like, you're just another person there trying to do it. And they just like, they treat you the same. Like, as if you've been there the whole time.
Right.
Is what I'm getting at. Like, they treat you as if you've been there the whole time. You're not like an outsider. You don't feel, and I even see that. They're like, even when we see people come from out of town and they say they're from out of town.
Yeah.
They always like treat them real good. Like, nobody's ever, I'll say that about comedy in general though.
Right.
It's a very welcoming community.
It is. Well, no, let me backtrack that though, because I think the first night in Harrisburg, it felt very cliquey.
Well, I'm going to tell you the reason for that. There's one club. There's one place to do comedy. And that's why it's so big. There's 60 comics there on a night or whatever.
Right.
It's because there's no other opportunities like that. There's one shot there.
Right.
And not only that, but you're jockeying for position, because there's a big difference between going first there, 1 through 10, or 4 hours later.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, after everybody's cleared out and the only people left are the last 4 comics, last comic standing. It really gives all new meaning to that.
Right, it does.
Because it's like, that's who's left.
Right.
And if you're not going up after, you aren't there. So it's like, it's a very competitive, I think it's a more competitive environment.
It is.
Than anywhere else that we've been.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. And it has a lot to do with location, right? Because it is the only one there. And so when we got to Nashville, I mean, just welcoming all around. We're talking about
that was a welcoming scene.
And East Nashville is its own vibe altogether.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And a lot of folks that I talk to who are really like just laid back people, they said that they wish they would have known about East Nashville before they got down there rather than planning a trip around Broad Street. Oh, yeah.
People from East Nashville don't want people to, and because it's funny because
what the fuck Gilded Trash is, dude. We're finding the treasure.
No, I know, but I'm saying like, no, because it's funny because we run into people since we've been there and talking about how great it is. And they're like, yeah, it's getting to be like everybody's finding out about it. So now it's becoming like the rest of it.
Yeah.
And they don't want it to be.
But like, so you bring up another good point though, is the very first open mic that we went to in Pittsburgh, we ran into a guy that was from East Nashville.
We had just gotten back from Nashville a couple weeks before that.
Yeah.
And it was just funny to talk to somebody that was there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That we, it was just a connection.
And he decided to go up and try his very, very, not you, the kid from Nashville.
Yeah. He did his very first.
I wish I could remember his name, but he has like a digital art studio in East Nashville. Shit. Anyways, regardless, he was really funny, and he tried his hand at stand-up because he always wanted to do it.
Yep, he did.
And everybody welcomed him because
that's what comedians do. That's what comics do. That's what comics do.
I feel like a goddamn groupie though. It's so weird because like to your point, like, so if you live in Pittsburgh, right, then I could be like, babe, no, I'm doing my thing tonight. You go do your comedy and I can just do my thing. But because it's a whole night out, I'm going to not make him drive to Pittsburgh by himself. Although I've thought about it. No, I haven't. It's fun though. I'm stuttering. We both work from home during the day. So 5 days a week, we're glued to the house no matter what. And so like it's just a fun getaway too, but I'll be sitting in the back from here on out. For sure, be sitting in the back.
Yep.
There was something else I wanted to talk about in that vein too. You were talking about the food. Oh, that's what I'm really excited about though, is that we're getting ready to be into college is going to be back in session. So that means there's going to be way more kids on the streets of Pittsburgh that you can bark and get into the shows, which means that you're going to have potentially better crowds. So,
I mean, maybe we'll see. That's just an assumption we're making.
But Alana B has a plan, and she's going to be bringing gilded trash merch to the shows and hawking outside to get people in. And if they, come in, I'll give them a beer koozie.
See, now you're going to be working for them. The bars.
I'm working for the comics.
I know.
To get you guys in.
I know. I'm just saying you're working for them.
Yeah, that keeps me out of front and center so I don't have to answer stupid questions like how long have you two been married?
Right. At this point you all should know because we've only been asked 37 times.
We've been married for 15 years. So what are we doing next week?
Not next week.
In 2 weeks.
It's a true crime special. Tune in to find out. No. But no, we're going to, so we love true crime. Lots of people else love true crime. So we're going to talk about different podcasts, talk about our murder tourism, talk about, just also talk about cases that people, because there's a lot of like homegrown detective work that people are doing that's solving cases when the police aren't out there doing their jobs, which is a lot. But, and so, we're just going to dive into and have a true crime episode. We're not covering any particular case.
No, we're not.
We're just talking about the love of true crime.
Right.
Like, and talking about all the things that you can get into when you go down these true crime rabbit holes. rules.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of cases that
we might mention a case or two.
No, there's a lot of cases that I would like to sink my teeth into
just here.
full time, but I need to retire first because that's a lot.
Right. You almost have a full-time job to be a true crime detective. Like to be
there's
like
a
legit
lot of research. Yeah, to be a good, really
to
legit
really be out there helping solve cold cases and stuff.
Yeah,
you really got it. But we'll cover all.
Yeah, we will cover all that.
So, but before we go, I just want to leave everybody with this little bit of advice from the great philosopher Dwayne Michael Carter Jr., otherwise known as Lil Wayne. I always believe to be the best. You gotta dress like the best, act like the best. When you throw your trash in the garbage can, throw it in better than anybody else who ever threw trash in a garbage can.
Oh my God.
That's it.
Until next time.
See ya.
Oh, my Lanta. You're out of control.